Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about how you set Gemini up for help desk ticketing. And in particular, we're going to focus on the email integration. Email integration in Gemini is implemented through an app. Gemini has an extensive and very sophisticated app framework, so that quite a lot of Gemini functionality is actually built in its own app framework. And Breeze is actually an app. The first thing about Breeze is that you need to define a queue. A queue is little more than a holding structure that allows you to switch on and off multiple mailboxes that belong underneath it. It also allows you to default the project that any items created in the mailboxes will go to. All you need to do is put in a name, a description, you can color code your queue, and then define it as being active. If you want to reply from emails that come in and are created as tickets or as turned into tickets, then you need to define an SMTP server. This is usually best left to an email administrator who will have absolutely no problem at all in telling you what your server is, what port you listen in on, and whether your authentication mode is auto or NTLM or you don't have one. You'll need a username and password for your outgoing email, unless, of course, you've enabled a mailbox without password. Your mailboxes is where the magic all happens. So I've got a mailbox that I've defined here, and let's just open this up and see what Gemini's mailboxes consist of. Well, the very first thing you can see is that a mailbox belongs to the queue. I happen to only have a single queue. Each mailbox then has a name, and Gemini supports different types of connections: POP3, IMAP, and Exchange, which should allow you to connect to whatever your mailbox type is. Then Gemini wants to know what's the email address and server and the port that you are going to listen to for items that are going to be converted into tickets. Are you using SSL for encryption? And again, what is your authentication mode? What's the username and password that's going to log in to that mailbox email address? And then, do you want to delete any messages that Gemini picks up? Normally, the delete messages will be configured on the mailbox itself. So if you have a POP3 mailbox, you'll normally say, if you pick up this message using POP3, then delete it from the mailbox, or keep a copy of it, or move it into a different folder. The same with IMAP, and so on and so forth. Setting this delete message is simply to ask Gemini to make an attempt to delete the message, but your mailbox configuration settings are the best place to do that, because Gemini may or may not be permitted to do that delete. Then you can enter a list of blacklist email addresses that you don't wish to reply to, and so on and so forth. And then you get to the subject line matching. And I'll just close this and look at the match expressions. Now, Gemini will allow you to define any number of expressions that could be in a subject line that it should match. For example, you might get a delivery status notification, or an out of office, or a you have more friends on Facebook than you think, or a Twitter notification that has somehow crept past your best intentions and has found its way to your mailbox. You don't want this turned into a ticket. So you define the match expression, and you quite simply go into the Gemini mailbox, you come down here, and then you say, the subject line must not be like this or this, and so on and so forth. And the reason for the match expressions is that you can then define 6, 10, 20, however many mailboxes you need, and simply reuse the expressions. The alternative to the exclusion is inclusion, to say that the subject line must be like a particular match expression in order for Gemini to convert it. Gemini can find and replace content, and it can truncate content. The most common way of truncating content is to have this please reply above this line match. And if you receive emails from organizations that do a lot of email communication, you will very often find this please reply above this line. Because of the habit of email clients to keep both the message and all other aged communication So what you really want is you want the ticket to just contain the very last communication, not the entire history. So everything below the please reply above this line is then truncated. Gemini can strip signatures if signatures are properly marked within the email, and it can be told to ignore any attachments. And then we get to the meat. Do you wish to respond to the person who sends the email in? If you choose not to respond, that's fine. But if you do respond, then you need to define an email template that's going to be used for that response. We'll look at that in a second, because we're nearly at the end, because the main thing that you want to do is, if you do respond, then you have to define an SMTP server, i.e. the person or identity of the responder. Use sender as reporter is going to tell Gemini to look at the email address and try to match that email address with a user in the Gemini system. And if that email address can be found and matched, then Gemini will use the person's identifier in Gemini, i.e. the Gemini username, as the reporter of the ticket or email. And then Gemini can be set to add these people who might send in emails as new users if it does not find them in the system already. Finally, the project that the ticket is going to be created in can come from the queue, or you can override it and hardcode the value. And the type of thing it is in the project can either be the default for the project or a very specific thing. I always want it to be a ticket or a bug or whatever it needs to be. And that's it. You've defined a mailbox. The last little piece is that once you've got your emails coming in, then you might want to reply to those emails. Gemini allows you to reply from within Gemini, and you can set up any number of reply from email addresses so that your support staff managing and tracking tickets on your help desk can actually respond from one another, from your organization, whoever they need to respond as. Now, we said that there's a response option with an HTML email template to go back. Let's take a look at that. In the Gemini system, there are alert templates for all of the events that Gemini will respond to. When new things are added, when someone is resourced, when something is updated. And one of the alert templates is a confirmation to the customer that the email has been logged. Let's take a look at that. So, what type of alert is it? These are all of the different alerts, and this is an acknowledge email alert type. You can associate templates with individual projects, or you can leave it blank and associate a template with all the projects. Similarly, you can actually specify a subject line or let the system have its default system subject line. Notice that here we're using the please reply above this line in our response so that whatever might come back, we are ready to handle through the mailbox. You can change the fonts and the style and the logos of this template to match your corporate colors or whatever branding you want. But the thing I really want to point out is that Gemini gives you, through this model, access to all of the fields that will be on the ticket that is created. So you can get to the status and the priority and the resource that's been assigned and so on and so forth. Even custom fields that you might define can be on there. If I save this, Gemini will go and get a random item from the database just to show me what my response would look like. And here it is, please reply above this line. A new piece of work, so this is pulling from a project, and that's its title. Thanks for your email, ticket's been opened for you. And this is actually a link to that ticket. So you can customize the template and you can respond if you want to. What about the ongoing communication? Well, ongoing communication is handled through an extension to your existing project template. So if I look at a ticket and I click on the screens, down in the content area, I will find, if I have Breeze, this email reply component. And this email reply component gives me the following ability. If a ticket comes in to the help desk, and let's pick a help desk ticket, and open that and let's hide that, and I click on email reply, Gemini will identify the person who sent the ticket in, allow me to CC and BCC, allow me to pick any of the from emails that are defined, and will show me all of the changes that has happened to that ticket since the last time a reply was sent, allow me to come, enter my text, allow me to find any attachments that I might need to, set the visibility on the comment that's going to be created, and when I add this reply, Gemini will add this as ongoing commentary on the ticket. All subsequent replies continue to be added as comments on the tickets, so nothing is ever lost. Email ticket handling on the help desk in Gemini is very, very simple.